Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. Just wanted to do a video here about the ACOLYTE. I was looking into a few things and I noticed a couple things that are kind of weird, and so I just wanted to see what you guys thought about this. So obviously this is another Star Wars series being done by Harvey Weinstein's assistant. They just hire the best people over there at the good old Disney. And so I did want to just look into something really quickly here. Some things that there's some conflicting timeline things, and that's her there. Leslie Headland. Mystery thriller, High Republic era. This is important. This takes place during the High Republic era, an era I could give a rat's about. Former Padawan reunites with her Jedi Master to investigate a series of crimes, but the forces they confront are more sinister than they ever anticipated. Now, everyone keeps saying that this is taking place from the perspective of the Sith. But this is StarWars.com. A former Padawan reunites with her Jedi Master to investigate a series of crimes, but the forces they confront... Well, it sounds like it's about a former Padawan reuniting with her Master and investigating crimes. Doesn't sound like it's coming from the Sith perspective at all. And that's kind of what this video is about. There's a lot of conflicting things here when it comes to the media and their interpretation of some of these articles. The High Republic saw the Jedi Order in its prime, centuries. This is another one, centuries. Centuries. Everything you're reading in the media is saying it takes place about 100 years before. Okay, and that's important to remember too, because even that is problematic when we get into what it says in an official Star Wars book. So this is important. So there we go. There's that. Okay, so we'll start off with that. But the problem with that is, this says centuries prior. Then you go over here to Nerdist, and this is a typical article. They all say the same thing, which is that the official synopsis: the Acolyte is a mystery thriller. Take viewers into a galaxy of shadowy secrets and emerging dark side powers in the final days of the final days. So official Disney site says centuries prior. Even in the Star Wars one, it says final days, centuries prior. What? This doesn't make any sense. Most articles you'll see, they'll say it takes place 100 years before the Phantom Menace. Here you go. Unfolds about a century before the events of the Phantom Menace. Okay. It unfolds. So this is where they are all over the place. So official Star Wars website. Final days of High Republic era. Centuries prior to Phantom Menace. About a century before the events of the Phantom Menace. Since that time, we've learned that the drama unfolds about a century. Century? Centuries. And that's the part I don't understand too, because this is where the show is really silly. And there's more here. Just hang on. There's even more here that's not going to make any sense. If the High Republic ends, say, a century before the Phantom Menace, doesn't there need to be something in between there? Like Star Wars likes to sort of, the High Republic era, the Imperial or the Galactic Empire era, the New Jedi Order era, the New Republic era. Empire era was only, 30 years or not even or something like that? And yet, something like that, 30 years or whatever. And yet it gets a title, but this period of time that is at least a century or centuries between High Republic and Phantom Menace has no title. And I always thought, well, there was an empire, or there was a Jedi Order for, according to Obi-Wan, 1,000 generations, right? So what is going on in this show that really matters when the High Republic should just transition right in? It should really be High Republic right till Empire, right? It shouldn't even be, they're kind of muddying the waters here, right? Because technically, if it was 1,000 generations, the Empire, then essentially they're renaming this. Essentially is the High Republic era, really. If that's, how does the High Republic Order era end, but there's still all these Jedi at the Phantom Menace, and there's all these Jedi in the High Republic, they're running the show or whatever, they have their systems in place, but they were in order for 1,000 generations, so what the heck is going on? So it's kind of weird. This show is, I think it's going to be a disaster for the timeline. I mean, I really do. Then factor in the fact of this. This is where it gets real stupid. In the book, Secrets of the Sith, it literally says, acolytes are basically weaker Darksiders who worship ancient Sith lords, especially Palpatine. Okay? especially Palpatine. I don't think Palpatine can be in this. He's not old enough. In fact, I know he can't be in this certainly if it's centuries, even if it's a century, he can't be in this. Where does this take place in the timeline? Are they going to put Darth Plagueis in this, and these guys are all working for Darth Plagueis? And my question is, where can they really go here, guys? I mean, you can't have anything major happen because, again, the Jedi Order just kind of goes along. Like, what are these acolytes going to be doing? Like, there's no story here. What are they going to do? Oh, there's some crimes. They're investigating some crimes. But the forces they confront are more sinister than they ever anticipated. It's a bunch of Sith, right? That's what they're saying. It's from the Sith perspective. But how can that be? Right? How can that be that big of a deal? And is this going to be something that activates something on the dark side, on the Sith side, that undermines Palpatine's rise to power? Like, are we going to be left with something where, and they've done this, right? They sort of use George's Star Wars movies and they surround them with all of these shows and all of these stories that just kind of pick apart George's movies and take the things out that they want, and then they insert their own stuff into it. And it's had a problem with canon. I have many videos about that. Is that what's going to happen here? Is it going to be like, well, Palpatine, it wasn't just Palpatine that manipulated everybody in the Jedi, and it was actually, there was a whole bunch of other guys behind the scenes, these acolytes. We didn't show you them in George's movie, but that was what was going on. So that Palpatine's character is now diminished, right? Like we've diminished Vader every time he fights now. He's kind of half beaten up, almost half dead now every time he fights, right? We've turned Luke into a bum. We've turned Leia into an idiot who can't really function militarily. Diminished the accomplishments of the original trilogy and the cast, the characters, and what they accomplished, because it was completely meaningless, because there was this giant Imperial force always there anyway. I don't know. Is that what this show is going to do? Is it going to diminish it all? Weaker Darksiders who worship ancient Sith Lords, especially Palpatine. And then you have the trailers that have been leaked, or the trailer, and of course it's all about power. You always have some woman in new Star Wars being like, it's all about power, and that's kind of what they've done. They've made it all about a power struggle in Star Wars rather than character-driven things, like, you know, how Luke won over his father and sort of won the day over the evil through love, rather than just what Rey did, which was, I'm more powerful than you. And they're turning it into Marvel, and so, I don't know, I just have a bad feeling there's girl power all over it. Thanks for listening. Feel free to check out any of my other Star Wars content. If you did like this content and any of my other stuff, please drop a like and a subscribe. It really helps the channel, and have a good day.